Hi, okay, I'm gonna try and make this under 10 minutes, but I'm just posting this to YouTube. So, question one, citing examples, how does Midland represent the classical organizational machine metaphor? I said, well, in the book, the machine metaphor compared organizations to machines, basically through the aspects of specialization, standardization, predictability, and replaceability. And to explain each one's specialization at Midland would be like how each person has a certain task that they're responsible for, like the people in admissions, the people in student billing, various teachers, and their certain subjects that they have. Standardization is in regards to Midland by having similar workers with similar goals and agendas for both themselves and the school. Predictability could be applied to Midland by having the same set of rules across campus to follow, and if these rules aren't followed or aren't predictable, they could be possibly changed. And a scenario where replaceability could be used at Midland is if you lose like a staff member, you should be easily able to replace them because there's other qualified people that are still going to be able to help. And when all of these go hand in hand, it will make Midland a more efficient machine kind of as a whole. So that's my answer for question one. Question two is pick an organization/team you've been a part of on campus. How did that organization team demonstrate the four tenets of Taylor's scientific management? And my answer was that the four tenets of Taylor's scientific management can be described as using scientific methods to determine and standardize the one best way of doing a job. So I'm on the women's bowling team, and the women's bowling team does this by having essential team meetings every week and goal setting before every time we travel. And another tenet that would is to have a clear division of tasks and responsibilities. So the bowling team has certain roles for certain people, whether they're bowling, scorekeeping, or just being supportive on the bench. I mean, everyone should be able to do any of those tasks at any time. Alongside that, another tenet is that it should not directly, a tenet that does not directly affect my team is like a high payment for high performing employees, but more so on my team, it's like higher awards for higher ranked players. Like certain high players get certain awards. So obviously, kind of the harder you work, the higher up you are, the more recognition you're gonna get. And then the last tenet is having a higher hierarchy of authority and strict surveillance of employees. But in this case, for the bowling team, the hierarchy would be going from my head coach to my assistant coach and to the captains, and then down to the rest of the team. So it's a pretty nice ladder right there, I guess you could call it. And for question three, it says, citing Blake and Moon's managerial grid, what type of management style have your teachers employed in the classroom? And my answer to that would be, using their managerial grid, the most common management style that I've seen personally in my Midland classrooms is probably like a 5-5, or like it could be seen as a middle of the road, and possibly sometimes country club teaching style. But this would be because teachers seem to really value not only like lecturing, but also like class discussions to validate what other people are thinking and to get them more involved instead of just doing one thing. And also, like a 5-5 for my Midland classes would mean that there's not really an overpowering authority. Obviously, a teacher has more authority than the students, but the students in the classroom still get to have a say in what happens a majority of the time, or at least get to make small decisions. And my answer to number 4, which is considering Lakert's system, which style system would you classify Midland as? And I said out of all of the different systems that I would consider Midland to be a system 4 or a participative system. Kind of like I mentioned in the last question, I feel like Midland truly values how the students feel, and that's why I think that so many of my classes engage in student discussion. Honestly, almost every day there's student discussion. And this also means that the goals of the classroom between the staff and the students are like pretty much known. And there's also a lot of team group work that's done to allow people to participate more together and also to learn a little bit easier. But in this participative system, especially at a college class level, there are always have to be high levels of efficient communication between teachers and students, and also students and students, because obviously you want to work well with your peers, and then you also need to have like that level of respect for your teacher, and you need to be able to communicate efficiently through email and in person. And my answer to the last question is, how can Midland utilize the Hawthorne effect without falling into the paradox of participation? And I said that the results of the Hawthorne study concluded that workers who got more attention often performed better and got more work done. So basically, the more attention that someone seems to receive, their behavior will more likely change for the better, or they're going to be a little more determined. And this kind of goes in the classroom, where students who are often more engaged and get more help from teachers or peers are probably going to perform better and get more work done if they're more engaged. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. But the paradox of participation is when people participate but they end up having like little to no say in the long run. And I think that Midland could definitely prevent this by staying engaged with the class and asking different individuals what class activities they enjoy, so that the students benefit from the learning and participating that they feel like is needed in the classroom. And this also results in the students feeling like they actually have a voice and a say in like what's going on. And I know that Midland already utilizes that, so it is really nice being able to, especially in what Adam and the communication classes, having a say in like the class discussions, whether or not we do lecture. It's kind of nice to voice the needs of the students, considering, you know, they're the ones that are learning this. But that would be all of my questions. Thank you for watching.